Hello everyone, and welcome to my fourth video blog. I hope you watched the third one on why do bad things happen to good people, and hope you got something out of that. And what I want to talk about today is right from wrong. That's always debated amongst the church and amongst Christians and non-Christians about what is right and what is wrong. Today that has become something that is relative. In other words, what's right for one may not be right for the other, in a sense that is subjective. But there are objective rights and wrongs and absolute truths, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. Kind of in a sense of, do you know what right is, and do you know what wrong is as a Christian, as a believer, if you call yourself a Christian? Because the Bible does tell us that we must be godly. And to be godly, we must follow His ways and not our ways. I know last week I talked about why do bad things happen to good people, about how we become perfect once we're saved. And I meant that in a spiritual sense, in the fact that in a worldly sense, we'll never look perfect. Many of us try to, and Jesus was actually against the Pharisees quite a bit because they tried to walk around looking perfect. And you can actually try to be perfect. To me, that's a sense of pride. I've tried that throughout my life, and it never worked out because you never can obtain it. So what is right and what is wrong? You know, today we've determined that what is right is based on what each individual thinks is right in their own eyes. Anywhere from abortion to alcohol to other things that people do, from the vulgarities that come out of their mouth to the way they treat people, to the way they believe. In other words, my religion's right and yours is right and everybody else's is right, which is kind of odd because how can we all be right? That just doesn't make sense. So what I want to leave you with today is a little tidbit on what is right and what is not right. And most of that, if you're a follower of Christ, you know that comes out of the Bible. And the Bible is the all-authority book that teaches us what is right and what is wrong. And as believers, we're called to live a godly, right life. Although that's not always attainable. It's actually very hard to live that kind of life. Especially around people who continually getting in the way of you doing that. And if supposedly you're watching this and you're not a believer, you're not a Christian, what may seem right in your eyes may actually be right in God's eyes, but there are other things that you do that are not right in God's eyes. And God says one day He'll hold us accountable for that, all of us. And I want to read you something here. Just bear with me. Do you do what is right? Do you try not to do what is wrong? How do you know what is right? And how do you know what is wrong? Doesn't the idea of right and wrong differ with different people? And that's what I want to come with you today, is, do you actually understand, as a believer, if you call yourself a Christian, that there are things that God looks at that He thinks we should do that are right in His eyes? And do you go about your daily life trying to do those? God's not asking us to use right and wrong to beat people up. He's not asking us to use right and wrong to judge others. He's not asking us to do right and wrong to gain our salvation or get into heaven, because the Bible tells us there's nothing we can do to gain our way or work our way to heaven. In other words, all the rights that you do will not get you to heaven. Only faith in Jesus Christ will. So have you ever asked yourself, am I doing the things that I do rightly? for some kind of reward, or am I doing them to honor Christ and what He's done for me? And if you're a Christian, that's what it should always be about. You know, I don't try to do the right things in life to look like some kind of superhero or be a goody two-shoes. I try to do the right things to honor Christ for what He did for me. And if you look at it like that, I think sometimes it'll humble you more, and it'll make you look at the Christianity that you so believe with a different perspective. And if you're not a believer, you're going to be confused about right and wrong, especially when it comes to religion and faith. It's interesting that there's many religions out there, and so many of them say that they're the right ones. But yet there's churches out there, the Universalist Church to be exact, that kind of teaches they're all right. And has that ever struck you? Have you ever honestly thought that what you believe, is it truly right? Is it truly honestly right? In other words, when you die, if what you believe is truly right, will what that belief tell you about the afterlife? Will it be true? Maybe that's something you need to look into. What is right and what is wrong? And some people may say, well, you know, I really don't care. I'm just going to live life the way I want. I'll play my cards at the end of that day. And that's not godly. That's actually ungodly, because that's taking a chance on death. And that death, although you may think it ends, it really creates eternity in that place called hell that the Bible calls. So that's my challenge to you today, is have you ever really looked at the true rights and wrong of life? And where do you stand with those? Do you try to do what is right, or do you try to do what is wrong? Do you try to rebel and do what is wrong just to get your point across, as if that's going to help you? Or do you truly, honestly look at life and say, you know what? I want to do the things that are right. I want to work towards the things that are right. And I want to be a person that was known, that had character, that stood out, because I try to do the right things. So my challenge to you today is, if you really don't know what those right things are, pick up a Bible. If you're a Christian, I hope you already do that. If you're not, pick up a Bible. Go back to the index and really look around at the different words and different verses and the different things in the Bible that talk to us about how to live a right life. Many of us have an inward conscience that we know right from wrong. The question is, are we prepared to live that way? So that's my challenge for you this week is, are you prepared to do what is right, or are you prepared to do what is wrong? So, look for some goodness, look for some rightness. Peace.